What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone for a weird video because apparently we cannot sack Allegri. We need to respect Allegri and certain coaches. Thiago Motta should stay at a historic club as Bologna because it's good there. It's unbelievable to be there. And why would they or somebody who's coaching Bologna willing to join Juve? That's what has been reported today. On top of that, you see more stories about players basically tying their future to Allegri for a sale or for a contract extension. All that after another non-win game. You know, it's unbelievable because we are not winning games, but the focus on the media, from the media, is still not on how much of a poor run we are. You know, we're sixth bottom in the last 15 games. We are dog shit. We have 14 points out of 14. We won 3 games out of our last 15. That's the reality of this club right now. It's a shocking form, but nobody's really speaking about it because Allegri has a lot of friends in the media, and those friends spoke up, and that's what we're going to talk about. Before we do that, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's go. Okay, so like I said, apparently we cannot sack Allegri. We need to respect that. And to top it off, why would Motta leave for Juve when he's coaching in a historic club like Bologna? That's what is out there. The moment we do not win a game, and that's something I definitely hate, from this season, is a lot of excuses. Is it Gaglione? And people might say you don't need to listen to Gaglione, but they're out there for a reason. Every single time. And he's talking about why I like Motta, but he shouldn't be leaving Bologna. It's an amazing thing he has. There's an amazing historic club. Why would anyone leave Bologna? I can give you 1,000 reasons why. Yes, we're not in a good form, but you're still Juve. The money, everything, you're gonna leave. Like, why are people being surprised? And then post-game, you have Fabio Caressa, who they have a big platform. But they are speaking for a friend, which I don't care. Like, if you want to defend a friend, I get it. I have no issue with that. Even in the media, that's how it is. I don't care. That's fair. You do you. But when we won 14 points out of 14 games, or one, you cannot come out and say these things. You need to come out, friend or no friend, and criticize the absolutely poor run we are on now. We are in relegation form. That's what we are. And somehow, some way, that's being brushed aside by the media. And we're talking about Chiesa. We're talking about Vlahovic. And we're talking about all these players. Danilo, McKennie, Rabiot, Locatelli. And at one point, I'm like, okay, do we have a squad, man for man, that crap? That we always need to pick out one player and talk about how inconsistent he is. Which player has been consistent the last 3 years? Which player? Not one. That's an issue. We can say Bremer, but last season when he came in, he wasn't good. Like, we need to be honest. Adapting, whatever. It wasn't good. This season is a lot better. But Chiesa played his best football in ages. Takes him off. Says, I needed something different. Brings on Keane. For what point? Like, weird things are happening in games. The results are what they are, and the focus is still that. And then to top it off, you have Fabio Caressa saying, hey, watch out, Milan. Like, every time we lose, the front pages or the mainstream media is, hey, Motta might not be joining, and why would you sack Allegri even if he wins the league and qualifies for Champions League? Because it's match day 36 and we need to beat Salernitana to get into the Champions League. Match day 36, you were 15 points ahead. You picked up 14 points in the last 14 games. That's why the coach is getting sacked. Even if you win the Coppa Italia, it doesn't matter. Long term, it wasn't good enough. Players haven't been good enough, and players will be removed out of the squad. That's how it works. But it doesn't mean that a coach shouldn't be up for criticism. Like, we should not be acting surprised as well. That's how it's been working for ages. The coach is the first one to go because it's much easier to change one person compared to 10. That's just a reality that will never, ever change, especially not at a top club. It's just not going to happen. But when you have such a result, such a poor run of result, and the focus is not, man, that's poor. And the media should be questioning that. But post game, they're talking about how much are you Juventino? I'm like, man, ask that question on the last match day if you want to ask that. We are struggling to get into the Champions League. We have 14 points out of 14. And the question you're asking is how much you are a Juventino? That's a question you ask in a relaxed, chill, laid-back interview. You know, off-season, sitting in the sofa, that type of interview. Presser before the Roma game, that's not the questions you're asking. The questions are also ridiculous. It's an easy job right now because the pressure is not what it should be. The pressure is from the fans. From the media, the pressure is not there. That's an issue. It's actually unacceptable acceptable because I know what's going to happen next season. The moment the new coach has a bad patch, they will eat him up, which they didn't do for Allegri. And both should be criticized, by the way, if the results are poor. I don't care who the coach is. But there is favoritism, and it's not okay. It's just not okay. You know, when he was asked, why would you take off Chiesa? And he explained that. That explanation was bullshit. It was bullshit. He was your most productive player on the day. He was your only threat. And he said he was tired. And I'm like, we were playing in spells. Like, he could still win you the game with the last 10 minutes. It was that type of game. Unlucky, okay. But you had a higher chance of winning that game. Like, nobody believed Milik was going to win you that game. Akin and Milik were going to win you the game. It was just not going to happen. It wasn't that type of game. If you watch that game, it was all Chiesa. It was all one player doing a certain thing over and over again and being successful. And then you bring in a player who's not being successful, doing that for over a year. So weird decisions, but they're never being questioned, which is weird and actually boring at this moment in time. But the fact that the question is out there, why would you sack Allegri? You shouldn't sack Allegri. You should keep Allegri. That's what's out there in the media, and it's unbelievable. It's actually insane. And that doesn't mean that if you bring a new coach, we're gonna win a treble or the Serie A. And nobody's saying that. Nobody was expecting Allegri to win it now. It's poor. It's poor, but it's not being held accountable by the media, which I don't like, because we praise him. I praise him for all the good stuff, even up to a certain point this season. In the past, I'm not going to take that away, whatever. But when it's bad, it's bad. When the team looks lost, they look lost. When you cannot get the best out of the group in terms of just focus and all those things, it's an issue. It's a big issue, and somehow the media is like, how much are you Juventino? I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that question, but off season, like, if he talks about it off season, I can deal with it. But man, it's match day 36. We're fighting, scraping for top 4, and that's the question you ask ahead of a Roma game or post game. I'm like, what's actually the point right here? So yes, the club should be moving on, and the club will move on, because if they don't, they make a massive mistake. No matter what the media is saying, that's just what it is. The facts are out there. The run is shocking. But maybe some of you are like, I agree. You know, we shouldn't sack Allegri. We should respect Allegri. And I do. Like, what he has done in the past. But the near past, or what just happened, is very poor. Period. No debate about that. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Not really transfer video, because I want to talk about transfers, but not today. Because it's just, like, it's the final week, basically. Like, we have a big week coming up. Basically, you beat Salernitana, you're in the Champions League. Next Sunday, you need to beat Atalanta in the Coppa final. You win the Coppa, and you say goodbye to the season. That's basically what it is this week. And I want to say it's as simple as that. It's not as simple. It won't be simple against Salernitana, and it won't be easy against Atalanta in the Coppa, especially not when you have Locatelli out and Danilo, and I know he's going to play Alexandro. You know, it's going to be very tough. It's going to be very difficult to win that cup against Atalanta. That's just the reality. But that's something we will talk about next week. But that's it for me. Like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys later on. Ciao.